Hello lovelies. So today we will talk about polarity of energies and especially the polarity of energies in yoga. So the energies always come in polar aspects. So everything in this universe come in a polar aspect. So for example, as a magnet has its north and south pole and these poles attract each other and the same charge would repel each other, same in electricity. We have the energy charged with the negative charge and the positive charge is plus and minus, and we need both for them, for their energy to flow to create a circuit. In the same way, this polarity of energy is in yoga. When we work with energy, this energy comes with the polar aspect, and this was presented in Taoism. This polarity of energy has been represented as Yin and Yang in Taoism and therefore in Chinese medicine. And in yoga, it is represented as Ha and Tha, the sun and moon. And that's where the term Hatha Yoga comes from. Yoga of the sun and moon, of balancing these polar energies, creating imbalance. And that's where the terms lunar, corresponding to this yin, lunar, moon energy, and the solar, corresponding to the sun, to these yang energies, come from. Because an excess will generate problems, disease, imbalances, confusion, suffering. And when we are imbalanced, life is harder. It's like trying to fly with different length wings. It becomes impossible. So let us look first into the properties of the yin aspect. So yin is receptive, feels a lot, it's sensitive, but cannot control. It's easily influenced by others. Too much yin is out of control, easily receives energy and has no control over it, so often also receives unwanted energies. It's simply more dependent on the surroundings, on the atmosphere around. Also, being so receptive, one can become easily overwhelmed and not be able to control it. Yin people can easily feel other people's moods, thoughts, and this can lead to insanity if only the yin aspect is cultivated. Receptivity is a great gift, especially for women, but also we need some control. The example of this extreme yin aspect are medium, people who can channel energies. And unfortunately, for many of those people, it doesn't end up that well for them. So let us now come to the yang element. With this yang element, we can change things. Like if there is a bad atmosphere in the room, we can change it. We can crack a joke and shift the energy. People with strong yang element are natural leaders. But if they lack receptivity, they become insensitive. They cannot feel. They are untouchable, egoistic. Great example would be dictators, which are just self-centered and they wouldn't take into account suffering of others because they're simply lacking this feeling, this lacking humanity. So back to Hatha Yoga. we, in the yoga classes, you'll see that we do the asanas, which we call polar asanas on the left and right, because that takes us that also within our body, both men and women, we have the left side is considered the yin lunar, receptive, and the right side of our body is considered the yang, the solar. So for example, in Indian tradition, it's very present. You always, when you receive an offering, you receive it with your left hand. If you offering, you give it with the right. That's, you also give an energy, not only the thing, but also energetically you give through the right. And this is very relevant, for example, in healing, in Reiki healing, which energy receives and which energy emits. So the brain hemispheres are also, one of them is yin and the other one is considered yang, but actually they crisscross. So the left brain hemisphere actually corresponds to the solar yang aspect, like the right side of the body, and it's known to be responsible for the logical thinking, for analytical thinking. And the right hemisphere is considered to be lunar, feminine, yin, as the left side of the body, and is known to bring these intuitive qualities, the creative qualities. Therefore, when we do yoga, some details are very important. Like, for example, if our hands touch each other, or we want to keep the hands separate. Also, when we do those polar asanas on the left and right, it's important that first we do it on the left, that first we work with this receptive yin aspect, as we want first receive the energy, and then only we do it on the other side as we want to make this energy more solar, as we want to develop the solarity. So this is very important. And also we should be observing, because it might be that one side might be easier than the other, and this might tell us something about us and our imbalances. And in the same way, for example, when we sit cross-legged seated position like I am now, it actually matters which leg is on the top. Okay, because the top leg, the foot, is determining here the charge of the energy. And when we are learning, we should swap. So first to do it with the left leg at the top, and then with the right. So in this way, avoiding any imbalances, unless we are masters, like Buddha. Then we might choose to do it only in the solar way, as we want to emit the energies. And you will see in all the sculptures and images of Buddha, the Buddha is with his right leg at the top in the cross-legged seated position, as he is emitting the energy for the world. And same with the hands. If you put one hand on top of the other, the top hand will bring the respective polar aspect. So again, when learning, we need to be mindful. We might want to start with the left on the top, and then after some time change to have the right at the top. And we always in yoga will do both sides equally, unless the imbalance is really obvious, it's really big, and with the advice of a teacher, you might be advised to insist a little bit more on one side. But other than that, we always work with both sides equally. And there is another polarity of energies. There is the energy from the earth, which has this minus, this negative charge, also sometimes referred as the telluric energy. And there is this cosmic energies with the plus um, positive charge, the energy from the cosmos. And some yoga poses will work more with these telluric earthy energies, and others more with the cosmic energies. And again, it is important here to balance, to do both of these types of yoga poses. Because too much telluric energy make us earthbound, heavy, slow, overweight, very often over focused on the physical, material world and lacking inspiration, lacking enthusiasm. And on the other hand, too much cosmic energies will make people very excitable, living in their heads, in their thoughts, the head in the clouds, and with the legs just hanging and without any contact with the earth, without contact with reality, without any practical skills, simply living in the head, in the thought, in the ideas, and often being thin and sickly because of this lack of earthy energies. Because again, we need both of them, and because of certain circumstances, sometimes people develop these imbalances. For example, living in the 50th floor of the building with all sorts of plastic layers between you and the earth might makes you really to lose this contact with the earth and lack this earthy telluric energies. And therefore, for people like this, if you live in the city, walking bare feet, being close to the nature might be very important. On the other hand, for example, astronauts, where they go away from the earth, it's known that their muscles shrink, that they develop osteoporosis. But on the other hand, they become interested in occult and parapsychology and meditation. And this shows something about this predominance of the or influence of the energy of the earth and the energy of the cosmos. And it's also why some people in spirituality choose to go to the mountains, like yogis went to Himalayas because they found meditation easier being high in the mountains with more cosmic energies. Okay, but we need this both. We need both the earthy, this sense of groundedness, connection with the earth. At the same time, we need to be able to fly, at least in our minds, at least in our thoughts and in our hearts. Okay, and this polarity is also known, for example, with food, in macrobiotism. So there is a whole, you can find the tables which food is considered to be more yin, lunar, and which yang and solar. And when you look at the tables, you might discover that your food is more on one side, and some people decide to bring this balance, especially on the physical level, through food. So it's also interesting to look into it. Another thing to bring your awareness to is metals. Certain metals are more on the yin side, or they bring this yin charge, and others yang, like for example the silver brings the yin, and for example gold and copper bring this solar aspect. So also it's why it's good to know when choosing jewelry, and especially for different kind of occasions jewelry. Okay, so this polarity has been explored on different level, and yes, it is fascinating. For today I wanted to focus on this polarity in yoga to make you a little bit, to understand a little bit more what we are doing, that we work on this balancing between the left and right, also working with the cosmic energy and the telluric energies, and that's why it is called Hatha Yoga, the yoga, the bringing the power to our being, and therefore it's important to design our own practice sensibly, because there is a tendency, people who are naturally more heavy and more this earth bound will resonate with things which are more earthy, like the yoga poses which work more with the telluric energy, and opposite, people who are like butterflied and excitable and live in the world of ideas, they will more like this yoga poses with the cosmic energies, and we need them both. And it's why I'm not such a fan of, for example, Yin yoga. This is quite more recent style of yoga, which focuses on this lunar yin aspect, which can be quite beautiful. It addresses to women, but my observance is it works mostly with telluric energy, with these earthy energies, and this can be very imbalancing for some people, and especially when practiced on its own. Don't take me wrong, I love many poses from Yin yoga. They are great, but they shouldn't be practiced on its own. So, and unfortunately, this the idea of Hatha Yoga, of this balancing of the Yin and Yang, it is lost nowadays, and not many yoga actually bring this aspect of balancing. There's a tendency, if the teacher is more into the Yin aspect, will be teaching more of the Yin, and if the teacher is more into this solar, this power yoga, this heat yoga, it will be teaching this. And this is something some people need it, and I'm sure there will be lots of fans of these specific styles of yoga, but it's kind of cut off its root where the yoga came from, because it's Hatha Yoga, this yoga which uses the body, came as this practice of balancing, of developing yin and yang, and creating this powerful energy, this powerful circuit of the energy for change and transformation. Bye for now. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you on the next lesson. Namaste.